Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. A couple weeks ago, Fantasy Flight revealed a few more spoilers for Empire at War, including K-2S0, and I may have been a little bit hard on the K2 card when it was first revealed. So this video is kind of like a primer video, maybe like a little strategy guide video for K2. I've been looking over his card and other cards that would work well with him. Maybe people you could pair with him if you're pairing him at elite, so you have 10 points to spend. So this video is going to be going over various maybe strategies with K2, cards to include in a deck with K2, who we might pair well with, and things like that. So first thing we're going to look at is cost to play weapons on him is increased by 2. So a lightsaber is going to cost 5. Um, Holdout blaster is going to cost 4, and so on. So I think the trick with K2 is not to play any weapons on him, at least from your hand. Don't pay the extra resources to play a holdout blaster on him, or a lightsaber, vibro knife, things like that. Wait for weapons to get redeployed to him. So if you can find a way to get a weapon on another character and get it off with like cargo hold, might work, or cargo hold will move it onto him. That'll activate his ability to ready himself again, because it only does it once per game. So if you play a weapon on him when he's already readied, you essentially lose that ability. So you kind of want to roll him out first, or just roll him out at least initially, and then somehow get the other weapon onto him so he can re-ready and re-roll out. One thing I like to note is it's because it's in bold. The cost to play a weapon on him is increased by 2. It doesn't mention anything about abilities. So we're going to jump into a couple of abilities that you can play on K2 that don't have that resource penalty. So we'll be right back with that in just a moment. So a good ability to use with K2 and not have to, since it's an ability, not a weapon, is Force Training. So 2 resources, you get your range damage, your +2 melee, because he only has melee sides on his dice, or for damage anyway. So you get the +2 melee, you get focus, you get a resource, special, and the blank. So you can play this on K2 without having to pay 4 resources for it. You do have to spot a blue character, so you're probably going to want to pair him. I think you would pair well with Rey for her, just her action economy would be really good with him. A Padawan would be really good because they have um, some very good melee damage sides. So pair him with the Padawan, and then you have just a massive amount of melee damage. So he has the 2 melee sides, and the Padawan has the 3 melee sides. You get another melee side with Force Training, as well as like the special, which lets you do 2 of those 3 options. So I think Force Training would work really well on K2. I'm hoping that we get more red red characters that also have melee sides, like primarily melee sides, so you can throw wingman on one of them, and then maybe you hit and run, roll K2, roll out the character with wingman. You have ambush, and you can just resolve a bunch of melee damage all at once. But it looks like blue is going to be a pretty solid option to pair him with. So pair him with Rey, Padawan, maybe Jedi Acolyte. Um, Also, if you want to get into yellow, you can pair him with Maz. You can also run him with, for an elite cost, you can run him with Ezra. However, Ezra does only have 7 health, so he'll probably go down fairly quickly. A strategy with Ezra, though, would be to redeploy weapons on him. When he gets defeated, those come over to K2 and he can trigger his ability. So, anyway, back to the abilities. So we have Force Training. You don't get that extra 2 resource cost with that. Another thing you can that pairs well with K2 is Kocchi Training. So 2 resources, +1, +2, +2 melee. You just spot a blue character, and then has a shield, a resource, and as an action, you can remove one of your dice showing melee damage to exhaust this upgrade to remove dice showing melee damage. Generally, I think with K2, you're probably just going to want to roll out that damage. So roll K2, maybe with hit and run, roll him out, and then just resolve um, melee damage. If you happen to roll melee damage with Kocchi Training, with the Force Training, you could swing in for potentially, let's say, you rolled just melee damage, 2 dice. So let's say you rolled, um, or even just with 1 die showing melee. So 3 melee on K2, +2 on this, +1 on something else. That could be a bunch of damage, especially if you roll it out with ambush. Your opponent doesn't get the opportunity to remove your base damage, leaving you with just modifiers. So I think a strategy with K2 is anything you play on him directly should be an ability and not a weapon. So, like I said, Kocchi Training, Force Training. I'm sure we're going to get more blue abilities with melee in the next set. We have Master of the Council. However, I'm not sure if that would work well with K2. It does have the massive amount of melee damage on it, and if you're running it with a character that can focus, like maybe like Maz, but Maz is you would have to run K2 at probably not an elite cost to do that because it would be 15, 23. So you could run one of them at a non-elite cost to do that possibly. But so like I said, roll out K2 with all this melee damage and just resolve it right away. And then weapons that do get played on him will come from other characters. Or I'm sure there's going to be some kind of cards that'll come out that'll be basically just pay this resource cost, move a weapon, something like that. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll also have to see how they do Cassian, or if they do Cassian, I should say. I was expecting to see Cassian in Spirit Rebellion, but they didn't do that, and so now I'm thinking if they do Cassian, it'll be kind of like the inverse of K2's cost. So it'll kind of be like how they did Han and Chewie, or how they also did Baze and Chirrut, where you can run one of them at elite and the other has to be non-elite. So maybe we get like a 10-15 Cassian. So you run K2 at 20, you run Cassian at 10, or you run K2 or Cassian at 15, and then a 15 point single die K2, something like that. But this video is just because I was going through the card again, noticed that it didn't say um, abilities. So this is just a kind of like a small little strategy guide on K2, maybe who you compare him with, what weapons to use, or upgrades to use on him, things like that. So we have our Force Training, our Kocchi Training. I think he would pair really well with Rey, really well with possibly Ezra, because you just load up Ezra with all the redeploy weapons, and if he gets defeated, they all come over to K2 and trigger his ability. So I'm kind of theory crafting a couple different decks with K2. I have one that I've built out with Rey that I'm probably going to try to get the K2 card imported into Tabletop Simulator and just do some self-contained testing with that. So it's Elite K2 and a single Rey, and then your Vibro Knives, your Force Speeds, things like that to get multiple actions out of Rey. So you Vibro Knife on Rey, you then overwrite that with the other Vibro Knife, roll K2, you roll Rey, you Force Speed Special, that kind of thing. Um, so that's a deck I'm kind of working on. I may do a video on that whenever that comes around. But that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.